All right, welcome back to another video. My name is Dalen Anderson. Today, we're going to be learning about why you should be true to yourself, okay? So how to be true to yourself always. So, this is done through a couple different principles. So let's get started on these principles. So there's three major reasons why you should always be true to yourself, or I guess I should say how to be true to yourself always. And under those I have subcategories. So the first main reason why you should be true to yourself, number one, is integrity. Okay? So integrity is, well, it's being true, right? It's being true to yourself. It's being true to God. It's being true to the people around you. If you have an idea, for example, and you want to build this idea, and yet other people don't want you to build this idea, to be true to yourself is to do it anyways, right? Because you know that you're supposed to do it. That's integrity. Another aspect of integrity is honesty, right? Because if you lack integrity and you have a good idea and you honestly believe in it, but then you don't do it, well, you're lying to yourself and you're lying to other people as well. So integrity is one of the main categories here, because when it comes to being true to yourself, you need to be filled with integrity. And to do that, you need to be honest with yourself, you need to be honest with other people, you need to be honest about what you desire, about your dreams, and you don't let anybody or anything ever take you away from it. You just don't let that happen. So yeah, integrity, right? If you have a dream, if you have a vision, if you have something you feel you're supposed to do, and you don't do it, you lack integrity. And when you lack integrity, well, people won't trust you. Because people trust people who are true to themselves. People can sense when you're not being true to yourself. It's really easy to feel it. In fact, it's pretty annoying. It's actually one of the most annoying things ever when people aren't true to themselves. And yet, at the same time, if you try to be true to yourself, you're going to experience all of this resistance from all of these people that aren't true to themselves. And it makes them mad because they know they aren't being true to themselves. So they see you walking in integrity. They see you being true to yourself, being true to your vision. And because they know that they aren't being true to their vision, you anger their demons. You make them mad. So they'll try to bring you down to their level because it's comfortable. It's comfortable to them, right? It feels good if you aren't being true to yourself when you're around them, because they know that now they're comfortable not being true to themselves. But if you stay true to yourself, if you maintain integrity, you're going to experience a lot of resistance from other people. And as you experience that resistance from other people, you're going to notice that the reason it happens is because they aren't being true to themselves. So it frustrates them to see you being true to yourself. I know it sounds crazy, but this is really the reality of the situation. When somebody's blinded by ignorance, they do things that don't make sense. They do things that really are detrimental to themselves and everybody around them, and that includes getting mad at people that are doing good things, right? If you're in a sinful state and you see somebody that's living righteously, that's filled with the Spirit of God, it's going to make you mad most of the time if you're not ready to change. And so, right, what happened to Jesus? Well, everybody hated him. The two things happened. People either loved him or they hated him. There was no middle ground, right? They either wanted to be with him, listen to him, or they wanted to be completely away from him. They weren't in the middle about it. Why? Because Jesus Christ was perfect. He was always true to himself. He was always true to God. He had perfect integrity. He has perfect integrity. So through that perfect integrity, a lot of people that lack integrity, that lacked that desire to be true to themselves, got mad at him, right? They'd get mad at Jesus because he was telling them, hey, look, you need to love God with your whole heart, everything that's in you, and you need to love your neighbor. So what is he telling you to do? He's telling you to have integrity, right? Be true to God and be true to yourself and be true to your neighbor. That made a lot of people mad because they knew that they weren't being true to God, they weren't being true to themselves, and they weren't being true to their neighbor, right? Or it created the opposite effect where that person was like, thank you for saying that, right? Because they know it's true. So integrity, this is number one on how to be true to yourself. Now, when I say it's number one, these aren't in a specific order. This is just the first one that I chose. But yeah, integrity is essential to being true to yourself. So under integrity, you need values. You need values, right? Because if you want to be true to yourself, if you want to be true to other people, but you don't know what that means, how are you going to do it, right? If you don't have a definition of what it means to be true to yourself, to be true to God, to be true to other people, then how are you going to follow it? So you got to define yourself and what you want to do, right? Because if you're going to be true to yourself, then you need to know what that is. And having a set of values is a great way to do that. Because if you have a list of values like honesty, right? If you have a list of values where you're going to be perfectly upright and honest, you're never going to cheat, you're never going to do anything dishonest, even slightly, then you have something to shoot for, right? You can be true to yourself because you know who you want to be. But you can't be true to yourself if you don't know who you want to be. And most people think it's a lovely idea to be morally upright and to express moral conduct. But when it really boils down to when push comes to shove, and there's some little way that they could make a lot of money in kind of a little bit of a shady way, a lot of people are like, oh, you know what? Honesty's cool or whatever, but this is a unique situation. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, right? No. This is why you need to set a list of values for yourself, because when the temptation arises, you'll already know what to do and what not to do to be true to yourself. But if you want to be true to yourself, then don't sin, because sin comes back to you, right? This is the law of karma in Buddhism, but it's really simple. It's this whole idea that you reap what you sow. So if you want to live a happy life with a lot of joy, if you want to be filled with joy, then you need to be really aware of what you're doing. You need to be very conscious of your choices because they're going to come back to you. So if you have an opportunity to be dishonest, if you have an opportunity to lie, to cheat, to steal, if you do any of those things, you're not being true to yourself because it's going to come back to you, right? If you're dishonest with everybody in your life, it's going to be pretty hard to find people that you can trust. And it's going to be especially hard to find people that trust you. Okay? Because once somebody has a distrust towards you, they're not going to build a relationship with you. So if you're lying to everybody in your life, you're not going to be able to build good relationships. Period. Because it's going to come back to you. All of that lying, all of that cheating or whatever you're doing, you're going to realize one day that half of the people that you were friends with are all now liars because you were a liar. And second to that, you don't even have friends because real friends don't lie to each other, right? So being true to yourself means that you should avoid sin because sin is going to come back to you in abundance. It's going to multiply itself, right? So this is all part of integrity. This is all part of values. This is all part of being true to yourself. So honesty, right? We've been talking about this a lot already, but this is number 2 on subcategories. Like I said, honesty is insanely important. Earl Nightingale, I don't remember if he was quoting somebody or if he himself said it. I'd have to go listen to the book. One of my favorite authors ever, Earl Nightingale, said that if there was a way, like the best way to get rich, right? If you could like map out the best way to get rich, it would be being honest. Honesty is the best way to get rich. Most of the people that have most of the financial success in their life in this world right now have it because they're trusted, right? Why do people end up with so much money? Sometimes every once in a while it's because they're a corrupt person, but a lot of time, most of the time, it's because they're honest. That's why people trust them. That's why they have so much success, because they're true to themselves. That's what honesty is, right? If you have a vision and you want to do it and you know it's from God and you don't do it, you're lying to yourself. People can sense that, right? If you want to be successful in life, be true to yourself. Be honest with yourself and others. People will trust you. And it's a greater compliment to be trusted than to be loved, right? Because you can have love for somebody and you could not trust them. You could want to stay far away, but you could still love that person. That happens a lot, unfortunately, right? People, they love somebody, but they know that person isn't going to change anytime soon. So they kind of have to love at a distance. You know, it's unfortunate, but it's a greater compliment to be trusted than to be loved. It's natural within human nature to love people, to be empathetic, right? So it's not that hard to gain somebody's love, but it's pretty difficult to gain, maintain, and build somebody's trust. That takes time to do that. It's not easy. And it comes through being true to yourself, true to God, true to your neighbor, your friends, your family, and that all comes from honesty, right? From values, from honesty, from integrity. The other thing is the still small voice. Okay? So when it comes to integrity, you're going to receive personal insights. I don't know a single person on earth that hasn't received revelation or realization, depending on the situation, around aspects of their life, right? We figure things out. Things are shown to us. We're given insights. And because of that, if we learn to listen to that still small voice, the voice of God inside of us, we're going to make way better choices. We're going to be true to ourselves because of the very fact that if we're true to God, we're always going to be true to ourselves and our fellow man. If you're right with God, you're right with everything else because He created all things. So get right with God first, right? And that comes from listening to that still, small voice that guides you this way, guides you that way, tells you to go that way this day, that way that day, to do this thing, to not do that thing. Here's this idea for an invention. Here's this idea for a business, right? That all comes from within, from that still small voice that arises from within. And as you learn to listen to that still small voice, you're going to be true to yourself. You're going to be true to your neighbor. You're going to be true to your family. And you're going to experience a lot of joy as a result of that. So listen to that still small voice. It's very, very still. It's very small. So if you have too many distractions, if your music is too loud, if you're listening to music all the time, if you're listening to bad music, if you're watching bad movies, if you're doing things that drive that stillness away and make you unsettled, you're not going to be able to hear this. So you need to tune out, right? You need to sit down in silence and let God's Spirit arise within you. Let His Spirit arise within you. Once you're operating from His Spirit, you're going to make better choices. But until that point, you're kind of just trusting in your own wisdom. And hopefully you've learned by now that trusting in your own wisdom doesn't work. Right? So listen to that still small voice. Okay, the other thing is inner growth. We live in a world today where everything is outward appearance, right? People want to look good on Instagram. They want to look good on Facebook. They want to look good outwardly. Now, I personally post on Instagram and on Facebook, right? But I have a schedule, and I don't go scrolling around on there because there's a lot of stuff I don't want to see. There's a lot of easy time wasting that goes on social media. And also you can pick up on bad attitudes. There's a lot of people that are focused on their outward appearance. If you're always on Instagram, you're always on Facebook, or whatever your favorite social media platform is, you're going to start to pick up on those bad habits. You're going to start to do things for the outward appearance. And you're really going to regret it. Because you're going to find that people don't really care. And if they do, they're just envious or jealous. And there's going to be those small, select few people that really support you. But those people are only going to really come into your life if you're doing things for the right reasons. And doing things for the outward appearance is not the right reason. So you want those people that are really going to support you. Those people don't come from outward appearance. Those people don't come from what you think of them, right? Or from what they think of you. Those people come from what's inside of you, okay? Because what's inside of you is what's going to bring the type of people that you either want or you don't want into your life. It's dependent on what's inside of you. So inner growth is associated with integrity. If you're doing things for outward appearance to be seen of men, just for the likes, the views, or whatever, you're not being true to yourself. You're sinning. Like I said, sin is going to slow you down. And doing things for outward appearance instead of true inward growth and development is a sin, right? It's just going to slow you down. The type of people you're going to attract into your life will be more people that are just like that, doing things for the views, the likes, for empty, worldly gain, versus doing things for true inner growth, to really know God, to really develop and cultivate that and deepen your connection to His Spirit. So do things for true inward growth, inner growth. Don't do things because you want to look good on Instagram, on Facebook. Or even it could even be the people you love, right? Don't do things just because you want to appear to them as being righteous or appear to them as being good. Do it because you sincerely, inwardly are experiencing change and growth, and anybody that witnesses that on the outside, cool. That's just a happy accident. Because the real reason you're doing it is to know God, right? To gain knowledge, wisdom, awareness. You're doing it to know God, not to be seen of men. So, under integrity, we have values. Make a list of values, stick to them. That way you can know what being true to yourself means, because you have a definition of how you want to live your life, right? So you know who you want to be. So you can be true to yourself because you know what yourself is, what you want to be. So values. Make a list of values. Obviously, honesty is one of those values you could put on the list. But this one is so important that I went ahead and put it in this under values as its own thing, instead of just saying, honesty is part of values, because honesty really is the most effective way to be successful. Just be honest, right? Speak what you're truly, honestly feeling. The other thing with being true to yourself is you are, every single day, if you lie about something, for example, if you want to say something and you don't, okay, and you hold your tongue when you want to speak out, you're not being true to yourself, right? Part of being true to yourself is speaking up, speaking out. People sometimes are like, okay, well, I want to have a conversation with somebody, but I'm scared what they're going to think about me, right? They're worried about the outward appearance of the way they look. So they're not honest about their feelings. But honesty is the most refreshing thing ever. Okay? So if you want to be true to yourself and other people, be honest. It's so refreshing. It's a greater sin to withhold honesty because you're scared of what people think than to speak your mind and your mind to be somewhat shocking. Okay? Like if you speak your mind and it's kind of shocking to people, that's less of a sin than not being true to yourself. That's less of a sin than holding your tongue when you want to speak. If you hold your tongue and you want to speak, you're lying in a greater degree. That's the biggest lie of all, right? So you should speak up. You should stand for truth, not in a sort of confrontational way, but if you want to say something, speak up. Use your voice. God gave you your voice for a reason, to stand for truth, to edify, to bring people to Him, to create, to teach, right? He gave you a voice for a reason. Use it. Don't be afraid to express yourself. And if you express yourself and that thing that you express maybe reveals aspects of your character that you need to change, even better, right? Even better, because now you know what you need to address. So be honest. And then listen to that still small voice, okay? That still small voice, it comes from within. It's a quiet voice. It doesn't try to shout at you. It doesn't try to do anything crazy to get your attention. It's still and it's small. So you yourself need to be humble, and you need to have ears to hear, and you need to be in a state of stillness to hear it. So get in that state of stillness. The best way to do that is to connect to God. The best way to connect to God is prayer, meditation, scripture study, right? Go to church. Go somewhere where you're going to feel the Spirit of God. But yeah, maybe you just need to start meditating every day. Maybe you need to start reading every day in the Bible. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so I also read in the Book of Mormon every day, among a whole lot of other books, right? I've got a big pile of books over here, and I read every single day because it's fun, and I like it, and it's part of being true to myself because it's good for me. It expands my knowledge, my awareness, and I've learned to like doing it over time. So yeah, listen to that still small voice. You got to be in a state of stillness yourself. So meditation, prayer, study scriptures, right? Connect to God. You'll be able to hear it. You'll be able to hear His voice easier. And then inner growth, right? Don't be concerned about what people think of you on the outside. Be concerned of what people think of you, or not even what people think of you. Be concerned of what's inside of you on the inside, right? That's what matters. Because Joseph was sold into Egypt and rejected by his own family, right? So if you care about outward appearances and you care about what other people think of you, get ready to be disappointed, because the truth of the reality in life is that people make mistakes. And sometimes good people judge good people to be bad, and they're wrong, and they have to realize later, right? And so yeah, focus on inner growth, what's inside of you. Don't care about what people think of you. Okay? And definitely don't do things to be seen of men. If you're going to do something, do it because you sincerely want to, or because you want to connect to God, or both, hopefully. So yeah, under integrity, have values, honesty, even though it's a value, super important, so I distinguished it here, made it its own thing. And then still small voice, listen to the still small voice, and inner growth, right? True inward change, not what people think of you on the outside. So, another aspect of how to be true to yourself is confidence. Okay? So how to be true to yourself, you need to have confidence in yourself. You can't be true to yourself if you're letting everybody else push you around, right? Think of a chess game. The pawn isn't a very influential piece. Those pawns, they're important, but they're not as powerful, they're not as influential as a castle, right? As a knight, as a bishop, as a queen. All those pieces have more influence. They can move around the board easier. They end up taking out more other pieces. So they have a greater influence on the game, right? Most people live their lives like pawns on a chessboard, getting pushed around by every single outward influence. But what I'm telling you guys to do is to be true to yourself through confidence. Confidence in your ideas, confidence in your beliefs, so that you're more like the bishop or the castle or the knight or the queen that influences the game, right? That actually has sway on the direction of the game, the result of that chess game. Who wins, right? The bishop has a bigger result on who wins than the pawn does. even though the pawn is important, the bishop has more influence. So become movers in the game, right? You do that through confidence, because you're going to get pushed around by every single other person's ideas, by other people's opinions of who you're supposed to be, if you don't have confidence in those ideas that God put in you, right? If you don't have confidence in those ideas, other people will have other ideas. I've heard it said that if you don't know who you want to be, somebody else will tell you. That's so true. If you don't know what you want to be, who you want to be, where you want to go, somebody else is going to tell you. Somebody's going to be like influencing you. Somebody will take that role of having more influence than the pawn, and you will become the pawn. So you got to trust in your own ideas, and you got to have confidence in yourself to be true to yourself. So what does it look like? Well, like I said, trust in your own ideas. Trust in your ideas. You know how many people could have really, really made a big impact on life if they would have trusted in their own ideas, but instead they let the negative opinions of family members, of friends, of people that they thought they were close to, because they are close to them, but they cared more about their opinion of them than God's opinion of them. And so therefore, they didn't trust in their ideas. And a lack of trusting in your ideas, that's one of the fastest ways to offend God, because He gave you those ideas, right? So you need to trust in those ideas. You need to do God's will. He gave you those ideas. He's going to give you the strength to accomplish them, but not if you're worried about the opinions of your friends, your family members, more than God's opinion of you. So trust in your ideas. Make a plan, right? Make a plan. You got to have a plan in life. If you want confidence, you need a plan. Like I was saying earlier, if you don't know who you want to be, somebody else will tell you who you're supposed to be. So have a plan, so nobody else in the entire world can tell you who you're supposed to be. Because you know for yourself who you're supposed to be. You've been divinely inspired by that plan. You've mapped it out. You put your heart and your soul into it. And you're learning to stick to it. And that increases your confidence. And other people's opinions can't affect you anymore. Nobody else can choose who you're supposed to be. And that's one of the most liberating and freeing feelings ever. Because we're not meant to be the pawn on the chessboard. We're meant to truly become all we can become. We're meant to really expand in knowledge, in wisdom. We're meant to come down to this earth and grow and become everything that we can become. And you don't do that being thrown around on a chessboard like a pawn. You need to have a plan to do that. Okay? And hopefully your plan begins with the end in mind, and hopefully that end in mind, that goal that you have is good. Something wholesome. Something beneficial for you, for the world, and something that God is satisfied by. So yeah, make a plan. Trust your ideas. These are all part of confidence. Think long term. Think long term, you guys. It's so easy to think short term. You have a feeling, oh, well, it feels like I need to get rid of this person and get this person out of my life. It feels like they're not somebody that I'm supposed to be around, okay? So you have these feelings day by day, But if you lose that big picture goal, if you stop thinking long term and you don't have your eyes on the prize, you're going to start to believe those feelings, those natural human feelings, which, by the way, move up and down and all around a scale all the time. You're going to start trusting those feelings more than your vision. And that's exactly how you fail. Right? So stay true to your vision. Keep your vision in your mind's eye all the time. And everything in your life will form around that vision. But if you start focusing on your emotions, which, by the way, they go up and down and right and left and are here one day and gone the next, you're not going to be able to succeed. You're not going to be able to achieve your goals because you're not thinking long term. You're not staying true to your vision, and you're letting short-term emotions sway your picture of what your vision is supposed to look like. And those short-term emotions lie. One day they're really positive, the next day they're really negative. It's an illusion. The only truth is your vision, because that goes past all of the fluctuating, volatile, natural human existence that comes with life, where things are volatile, there's chaos, your emotions change, your perspectives change. All of that changes unless you have a vision. Then you can anchor yourself to your vision, think long term, and all of those emotional swings start to be regulated to where now you're steady, you're consistent, and you're true. Your emotions aren't fluctuating to the degree that most people's are. And you're able to stay focused on your vision and accomplish it and get it done. Right? The reason most people fail in life is because they lose sight of their vision. They stop looking at the place they want to go and start looking in other places. And the second that you start looking in other places, you start to bring those things to you. Because we become what we think about. And so, if you want to be successful, focus on success. Focus on what you want in your life, what you desire. Stay true to your vision. Don't let anything, short-term emotions, whatever, take you away from that, and you will achieve it. And every single person in your life will either come with you or stay behind. So you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to worry, oh, do I need this person in my life? Do I not need this person in my life? Don't worry about it. Focus on your vision. Focus on your plan. Trust your ideas. Have confidence in yourself. If that person is meant to be in your life, they will stay. But if you're stuck in this whole, oh, should I do this? Should I not do this? Is this person supposed to be in my life? Am I supposed to take them out of my life? What's supposed to happen? You're not in tune with God, because God doesn't think like that. It says in the Holy Bible that God is not a God of confusion. God is not a God of confusion. So if you're experiencing confusion, if you're experiencing, oh, should I do this? Should I not do that? And you're experiencing all these crazy emotions. Should I do that? Should I not do? You are confused. And God is not a God of confusion. So if you're experiencing that, you're not operating from God, because God doesn't create confusion. He creates clarity and perfect peace that surpasses all understanding. So, again, if you wonder, oh, should this person be in my life? Should I take this person out of my life? Do I need to whatever? Stop thinking like that. That's not God. God is not a God of confusion. Start focusing on your vision, focusing on your plan, focusing on what you want, not what you don't want. And your life is going to reflect that. Your life is going to transform to your vision. The people that are supposed to be in your life will stay. The people that aren't supposed to be in your life, you will either never hear of them again, or they won't affect your vision. They won't stop you from achieving your goal because God put that goal in you. And no man is going to be able to stop you from achieving it. Doesn't matter who. As long as you're right with God, you're going to be able to achieve your vision, right? So stay true to God. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things shall be added unto you. Stay true to your vision. Stay true to your plan. The people that are in your life will stay that are supposed to stay. The people that aren't will leave. Stop tripping out. God is not a God of confusion. Okay, so that's part of thinking long-term, confidence, right? Trust in your ideas, make a plan. This stuff is so helpful. I wish I would have known this. Especially 5 years ago, 6 years ago, if I would have known these things, the amount of success, I've experienced success in my life, okay? But the amount of success that I could have experienced understanding these principles would be astronomically different. It would be a whole different level. So that's why I'm teaching these things to you guys today, because I want you guys to have this knowledge now. I wish I had it when I was younger. And literally just through my own painstaking process of going through life, of trial and error, of failure and success, and study and meditation and prayer, I've gained this knowledge. And when I teach these things, I'm not perfect at them, but I do have an understanding of them because I've applied them. And that knowledge grows and grows and grows. And I wish I would have had it because it would have taken me to a whole nother level. So that's why I make these videos, because I know that's exactly what it can do for you. Okay, last but not least, today, number 3 on the list. So we have 3 major categories and then subcategories, right? Number 3 in our major category is presence. Sounds like a simple thing, right? Presence. Who would think that presence has to do with being true to yourself? Right? But one of the most lacking things in today's world is presence. In fact, we have plenty of money, right? The world is wealthier, richer than it's ever been. There's issues with the lower class not having enough, mainly because of ignorance and a lack of education. But there's plenty of money in the world. But you know what there isn't? What's different in today's world, what's crazy to think about, is that presence is probably one of the most sought after things. And when I say presence, I mean being present to the moment, right? Being present with people. People don't experience this. People don't experience somebody that's able to look at them in the eyes and listen to them and hear what they have to say. And the better you get at listening to people and sincerely caring about what they have to say and looking at them in the eyes, the better off you're going to be. Because in today's world, there's so many distractions, right? Like I said, we have enough money. We've got plenty of money. We just need to figure out how to educate the lower class so that they can produce wealth easier as well. And the internet's helping with that a lot. Hopefully these videos can help with that. But what there isn't in today's world is it's very rare to find people that have presence, that are present with you, right? That can have a conversation with you. People that actually care about you. And so one of the rarest things in today's world isn't money, it isn't fame, it isn't any of those things. One of the rarest things in today's world is true, genuine presence. Like to really care about other people. And to be willing to really get to know that person. Like that person. To where when you're listening to them, you really care. You want to hear what they have to say. You're trying to determine what they're saying. You're seeking to understand what they have to say. And yeah, that presence is so rare and so refreshing in a world where people just don't do that like they used to. People are less present. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of high pace. Just people that are in a really high pace, you know? And because they have this really quick pace, this fast pace, they miss out on all the opportunity because there's so many people starving for real, genuine connection. And they want that real, genuine connection, but they're not finding it because there's not enough people that are present, because so many people are worried about, they're in a high-paced kind of lifestyle. They're worried about, again, what people think of them. They want to post on Instagram. They want to get likes. They want to do things for the outward appearance. And the whole time, they're walking around, walking right past that person that needs their love, that person that needs their attention, their care. And so because they have their eyes set on the wrong things, they're missing that presence that people need in today's world. So under presence is self-awareness. So self-awareness is, again, extremely important, you guys. This is part of presence, but it's awareness, right? Am I being uncomfortable? Am I being too pushy? Am I making somebody feel uncomfortable? Am I cornering somebody? Am I in a room and I walk into the room and I want to talk to somebody, but they're in the corner of the room and I just don't care, so I just walk right up to them and I start talking to them? Right? And now they feel cornered. That's self-awareness. You need to be thinking about these things. What are you saying? Right? Are you speaking in low tones? Are you speaking clearly, concisely? Right? Vocal tonalities. These are just the social dynamic aspects of self-awareness, but self-awareness is also, this thing is bad for me, so I'm not going to do it. This thing's good for me, so I'm going to do it. Self-awareness, awareness of self, knowing yourself. Because to know yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, right? So know yourself, know who you are. That comes through self-awareness. And self-awareness comes through presence, being present, not thinking about some crazy thing in the future or some potential fear or some bad thing that happened in the past. You're just sitting there, present to the moment, listening to people, being true to yourself, being true to your vision. You're aware of yourself. You're not cornering people. You're aware of social dynamics, vocal tonalities. You can develop self-awareness. If you suck at these things, you can develop it, right? At a very young age, I decided for myself that I wanted to be good socially. And over time, I remember when I was really young, I made a choice to be good socially. And as I got older, I got better and better and better and better and gained more and more self-awareness through the process of making mistakes and determining, that was kind of stupid. That doesn't work. This does work, right? Through self-awareness. And you gain self-awareness through experience. Also, meditation helps. Learn how to be present to the moment, to yourself. Learn how to sit with yourself and learn how to be aware of yourself and other people at all times. Self-awareness, self-control. Right? Again, we live in an impulsive, high-paced world where people want instant gratification. Wake up, have a coffee, a donut, and TikTok. And boom, all your dopamine receptors are spiking all through the roof like crazy. When I wake up in the morning, for me personally, I pray, then I sit down, I meditate for 10 minutes, then I read my scriptures, and I study books. And then I get to my work day, I do all my work stuff. Then later in the day, if I want to do something that causes a dopamine spike, right? Maybe I want a piece of candy, maybe I want whatever it is, then I do it because it's a wholesome pleasure. And I've already done all of the things that I'm supposed to do in my day. So I do it, but I wait until later because I have self-control. I've developed self-control over time. Through exercising self-control, you gain more of it. So yeah, self-control. Very, very powerful. That will make you more present to the moment if you have self-control. Focus, right? Focus comes through practice. Surprise. There's so many people in the world today that are like, oh, you need medication. You need, medication to help you focus. Well, focus comes through effort, right? If you learn meditation, meditation will teach you focus, but it takes extreme self-discipline. And the longer that you practice it, the more years consecutively that you practice meditation, the more focus you're going to have. Focus is an art, a discipline that's learned. You don't need medication probably 99% of the time, at least 90% of the time. You don't need medication. You need to sit down and learn how to meditate. You need to sit down and learn how to focus, learn how to read, learn how to stay with one task until it's complete. Okay? Because if you lack focus, you're never going to be present. You're never going to be successful. You're never going to be able to achieve the things that you want to achieve out of life. You have to be able to focus for really long periods of time. I've been making this video for I have no idea how long now, probably like 40 minutes. And I haven't lost my focus once that I can remember through the process of making this video. Why? Because I practiced focus. But when I was a kid, I wasn't very good at focusing, but I learned how to. I learned over time how to focus. You probably don't need drugs. You just need to learn how to focus. Okay? So focus is another great way to increase your presence. And like I said, being present to the moment, being present with people is like the whole world is hungry and thirsty for this. Because so many people are chaotic. They don't take the time to be present with people. And there's just so many people that are thirsting for real, genuine presence. Okay, focus. The last thing is clarity. If you want to be more present to the moment, you need clarity, right? This goes back to making a plan. You need to know where you're going, to know what you want to become in this life. And when you have that clarity, you're able to be more present because you're not thinking about what could happen in the future. You're not worried about the past, right? You're able to be present to the moment because you have clarity. You know who you are, where you're going. That creates confidence in yourself, which was the last major category, was confidence. So through clarity, you get confidence. Well, how can you increase your clarity? Simplify your life. Cut down the amount of things that you're doing. Focus on what's really important. Make a list of top priority things that are actually helpful for you to do. And make a list of high leverage activities that if you do them, it's going to bring you the closest to your goals. It's going to reduce the most distance from where you're at to where your goals are, right? You're going to get closer to your goals by doing those high leverage activities. So make a list of high leverage activities that will give you clarity. What are you supposed to be doing with your time? Make a schedule. That will give you clarity. Like I said, have a plan. That will give you clarity. But also eat healthy. Meditation, exercise, prayer, fasting. Avoid sin of any kind. And as you do that, you gain clarity. You see more clearly. Because when you miss the mark, your eyes are blinded and it's harder to see. But when you hit the mark, your eyes are opened and it's easier to see. So clarity comes from having a plan, having a vision, having values, meditation, prayer, right? That all gives you clarity. Avoiding sin, that gives you clarity. So, under presence, we have self-awareness, self-control, focus, and clarity. This is how to be true to yourself always. Because if you do these things, it's going to be way, way, way harder for anybody or anything to take you away from your vision. The only time that you can get taken away from your vision and God's vision of you is when you start to step outside of God's will. That includes, again, making mistakes. Now, making mistakes is part of life, so don't be afraid to make mistakes. But if you consciously know you're not supposed to do something and you do it anyways, right, you're going to slow yourself down. It's okay to make mistakes, but don't go around making mistakes on purpose. Okay? So yeah, clarity. How to be true to yourself. You got to be true to God's vision for you. And you have to understand that if you step outside of His will, everybody else starts to have power and control over you. So if you want those people that are going to take you away from your vision not to have power and control over you, follow this plan, or follow these guidelines that I've made out today, right? Make a plan, have a vision, stick to God's will, avoid sin. Those things are going to make it so people can't take you away from God's vision for you. Those people only have power over you when you give it to them. And the only reason they're doing those negative things is usually because of ignorance, because they've been influenced, right, by spiritual plane, by the spirit world, or the spiritual planes. And because of that, they're doing things that are negative. They're trying to take away from what you're trying to do. So forgive them, because they're probably ignorant of what they're doing in the first place. And then focus on yourself, right? Don't focus on other people's sins and your own righteousness. Focus on changing your own self, overcoming your own mistakes, and kind of be a little bit close to the mistakes of others. Kind of look past them. Give them the benefit of the doubt most of the time. That's the lens that you need to be living your life. If you're living your life through that lens, whom shall I fear, right? So again, we're almost done here. Been a long video, been a lot of fun. This is how you be true to yourself always. Not some of the time, but always. You need integrity, so you need to have values. You need to be honest with yourself, with God, with other people. You need to listen to that still small voice, which is part of integrity. And you need to focus on inner growth, not the way that you appear to other people, but what's truly happening inside of you. So that's integrity. Confidence, right? Trust your ideas. Trust in them. Other people, it's been said that people are always weary of new ideas, especially if it's not their own. So if you have a good idea and you start to create it, it could be even somebody you love, and they're not trying to tear you down. They're not trying to create seeds of doubt inside of you. But they could be planting seeds of doubt inside of you unknowingly, because they have an idea of the way your life is supposed to go, and you have a different idea of the way your life is supposed to go. And so they're kind of like, well, okay, well, they can't see what you see. And that's okay. Forgive them for it, because, they just don't know. But yeah, you got to start trusting in your own ideas. If it's your idea, other people might not like it. Not because they don't like you as a person, but because it's a natural human instinct and inclination to be weary of new ideas, especially if you didn't think of it yourself. Okay, so forgive that person or persons for having that view of you and your future, and just realize that that's just because they haven't seen it yet. And once they see it, they're going to be like, oh, duh, I should have known they were supposed to be doing that thing. But until it actually happens, they're going to be very skeptical of that idea until they see the fruition of that idea. So yeah, trust your ideas. Make a plan. Have a plan. That way you know where you're going. Helps increase your confidence. And think long term. Don't be trying to do this just for short-term gain. Even just in this life, right? Don't do everything just for gain in this life. Do everything for a bigger, eternal reward, right? Jesus Christ said, lay yourselves not treasures on earth, but in heaven. So yeah, make a long-term plan and think long-term. Think long-term, think big picture, so you're not doing things just for short-term gain or even just for the gains of this world. Because there's a much, much better, bigger reward if you're willing. So, think long-term. And then last, under presence, we have self-awareness. Be aware of yourself, right? Don't corner people. Social dynamics. Be aware of social situations. Be aware of your own thinking patterns, what creates positive, negative experiences in your life. Self-awareness, knowledge, knowing yourself, okay? Self-control, control yourself, right? Like I said, I wait until after everything is done in my day before I let myself have those things that spike dopamine. Most people wake up and they say, okay, I'm going to eat a donut, I'm going to have a cup of coffee, I'm going to go look at TikTok, and then maybe I'll go do some important things. And by the time they're going to go do their important things, their attention span is so screwed up they can't even focus, right? So what I'm telling you is control yourself. For me, it looks like waiting until everything that I'm supposed to do is done before I, eat a donut or eat a piece of candy or whatever it is. That way, everything I need to have done is done before I experience, those dopamine spikes. Because let's be honest, I'm not going to take donuts out of my life completely. So I'm going to eat them every once in a while, but not until after I've done those things that I'm supposed to do. Otherwise, my emotions, everything is going to be all thrown around, and it's going to be because I chose pleasure over growth. So choose growth over pleasure. Self-control. Focus and clarity, right? That's all under presence. You need to be able to focus. We live in a world where people can't focus. Then they're told it's because they need medication. Then they get put on medication, and that medication causes emotional swings, right? And then they're wondering why they have all these emotional problems. Well, you probably just needed to learn how to focus instead of taking pharmaceuticals. And if you learn how to focus and you learn how to be able to focus on a single task until it's completed, then all of a sudden, you're not going to run into this problem, right? So learn how to focus. It's not because you're broken. It's because you haven't trained yourself to focus. I personally believe any person on earth can learn how to focus. So yeah, learn how to focus. Clarity is also part of focus, right? You need to be able to see clearly. And if you're making a bunch of mistakes, if you're not being true to yourself, it's going to be hard to see clearly. And it's going to be even harder to be true to yourself in the future. So the more that you're true to yourself now, the easier it will be to be true to yourself in the future. So be true to yourself right now. That's going to give you that clarity that comes from being true to yourself. So yeah, you need clarity. It's kind of a catch-22, right? You got to do all these things to be true to yourself. But in order to be true to yourself, you got to do all these things. So you kind of just have to start working somewhere. just say, okay, well, I'm going to start working on integrity because I know it's something that I need to work on more. So you got to pick one and then start working on it. In order to be true to yourself, you have to start being true to yourself. And then it's going to grow. It's going to be easier and easier until one day being true to yourself is just life. You just wake up and you just are true to yourself every day, every moment of every day. You're not experiencing huge emotional swings. You're steady, you're constant, you're consistent, and you're true to yourself. So yeah, that's how to be true to yourself, you guys. Start small, even if it's a little teeny little step in the right direction now. If you just start working on integrity, or start working on confidence, or start working on being present with other people, you're going to make leaps and bounds of progress in being true to yourself. And as you get better at it, it's going to get easier and easier and easier until one day you'll wonder why you ever even considered living a life where you weren't true to yourself. So yeah. Now to end this off, you guys, after I pick up, I already picked it up. I dropped this earlier, So, William Shakespeare said, "To thine own self be true, and it will follow as the day to the night, that then thou canst be false to anyone." I think that's the way it's worded. I can't remember now off the top of my head. Basically, what William Shakespeare is saying, hey, if you're lying to yourself, it's going to be really hard to be honest to anybody else. Why? Because what's inside of you is going to be reflected in what's outside of you, what happens in your life. So, if you want to be true to other people, if you want to be honest and upright as a person, you got to be honest and upright with yourself. And then that will be reflected in your relationships with other people. This above all, to thine own self be true. And it must follow, as night follows day, thou canst not then be false to any man. So yeah, if we're true to ourselves, it's impossible for us to be false to anybody else. It's impossible. Because as we're honest with ourselves, it will be reflected in our relationships with other people. It's impossible to escape that unbreakable bond between what's inside of you and what's outside of you. So, William Shakespeare knew what he was talking about. And it's no surprise to go read his beautiful and wonderful works, the works of William Shakespeare, and you're going to see that there was a man that was extremely creative, extremely intelligent, and he was true to himself. That's why he was so successful, even if it didn't all happen in his life, right? So be true to yourself. And I promise you, you can't be false to anybody else. You can't be false to God. You can't be false to anybody if you're true to yourself. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video. I hope you learned something and found it valuable. If you did, please do me a favor and, well, I'm not going to tell you to share it or anything like that, but yeah, if you liked it, then cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it and learned something today, and I look forward to seeing you guys in future videos. As always, peace be unto you.